Hello YouTube, Message in a Bottle here with another video. Now, in this video I want to discuss something very unique. Um, and I might get a lot of controversy if this video ever gets popular, but there was something that really bothered me lately, and it was me playing this video game. As usual, whatever picture I use in the video, I usually talk about a subject that's related to the video, to the picture of the video that I'm showcasing. And I gathered a bunch of images from the video game that I was playing. This is a video game called Frostpunk 2. It's a very good video game for those of you who likes city management and some level of survival. So Frostpunk 2 is basically takes place in a fictional universe where basically the entire planet went into ice age, like back to the ice age, and Great Britain it managed to, well, I won't say Great Britain itself, but the people of Great Britain managed to survive, and they're basically like the leftovers of the country. So in this game, you basically manage a city and manage the survival of its people. Frostpunk 1 was purely about survival, like surviving against the weather, against the frost, and gather a bunch of resources. But Frostpunk 2 took it a little further. And what's very interesting about Frostpunk 2, the direction that they did, and I'm going to use this quote right here that essentially says art is a reflection of reality. But this quote it says something different. It says that art is not a reflection, it is the reflection of that reality. So I might be saying that wrong, but yeah. um, I'm just showing you this quote because this quote and the quote of art being a reflection of our reality, it's a very true statement. And this could be something that you could see in video games, both video games, movies, entertainment industry, etc. etc. And Frostpunk 2 kind of gave me a severe black pill about democracy because in this game there is democracy. But what is so interesting, and this is something you could see in real world, and this is actually very scary, but this video game kind of gave me a dose of black pill of democracy, and that black pill is this: no matter what, or okay, how do I phrase this? First of all, let me start the background of the game, Frostpunk 2. I know I already said like the bare minimum of the lore. It's essentially survivors of the old British Empire, and the planet Earth is in Ice Age. And in Frostpunk 1 is purely about survival, like building a city and have its inhabitants survive against the Ice Age weather. But in Frostpunk 2, what they did differently is that they introduced different faction, and you as the player, you're essentially playing as a person named the Steward. How'd you know? Yeah, Steward. And you're essentially taking the captain's place from Frostpunk 1, the first game. But in Frostpunk 2, as the steward, as the successor of the captain, which is the protagonist from the first game, you build a, you could say, a democratic society where everyone has the chance to vote. And eventually, factions starts to pop out, and you have to deal with these factions. And you, as the player, you basically have to please everybody while simultaneously try to run society like a well machine oil. And okay, the game is very fun, but what makes it very challenging is pleasing everybody, because if you don't please everybody, there's going to be high crime rates, there's going to be rivalry against each other faction, kind of like a, gangland gangster rivalry. And yeah, you have to like keep everybody happy, keep everything well oiled, like have basic needs for everybody, provide basic needs for everyone, and you make laws where to see how people will be governed. But this game, what gave me the black pill is the reality is that democracy, best way I could put it, democracy is not really democracy when you have a bunch of people attacking each other over how to govern a society. I hope you guys understand what I'm trying to say here, because in this game, it forces you to side a faction when the faction itself becomes more popular and more dominant. And I think this explains so much why we're seeing issues not only in America but in Europe and a lot of democratic countries where, for some weird reason, you have a party that's essentially running the show in that country. So, for example, in Mexico, they have this party called the PRI, I believe, and they've been running Mexico for a very long time. Here in America, we have a two-party system, and best way I could put it, America's essentially a two-party dictatorship. Like almost, we almost never had a different party ever since this two-party dictatorship was built up. In Europe, I'm not that familiar with the politics over there in Europe, but I heard in the news that some of the left-wing parties in Europe, they're trying to ban right-wing parties from ever getting a foot in the election or getting a foot in the government. And to me, that's kind of scary. But at the same time, this game, Frostpunk 2, gave me that severe black pill and that severe realization how democracy is not really, best way I can put it, it's not really what you think of in practice. This game, Frostpunk 2, is very well made, and I really love the game itself. And as the old saying goes, art is a reflection of reality. And in this game, there's so many different factions, and I like their each faction ideology, but I kind of wish they kind of mix and match to customize your own faction. But that's a different topic for a different time. But basically, what I'm trying to discuss in this video, guys, is that this game gave me a severe black pill about democracy, of how in practice you will never have a true democracy. Just like communism, you will never have a true communist country. And it's kind of funny when people try to build a communist country, because we see it over and over again that it fails epically, and the people that are in power, they like to stay in power, if that makes any sense. And in this game, Frostpunk 2, you have different types of faction with their own ideology, and they have their own vision of how society should run. Here, there's the Faith Keeper. There's which the Faith Keepers, they're like theocratic, um, a faction that they want to run society like a religious ritual. In other words, the Faith Keepers, they're like based on Christianity, based on Catholic. And me personally, as me playing this video game, I'm a little biased towards the Faith Keeper. And my second favorite faction is the Steward. The Steward, they believe in order, and order is something that, you know, has to be maintained in a society in order to that society to thrive. And I like some of their ideas, especially on merit. Then there's the weird evolvers, which they're very unique with their ideology. They're all about technology, but at the same time adaptation, which is very interesting. And then there's the pilgrims. The pilgrims, they're obviously based on hippie culture. And what's funny is that in the story mode of this game, um, when you choose either the Faith Keeper, if you choose the Faith Keeper, you end up the Evolvers as the opposing faction, and if you choose the Steward, you end up with the Pilgrim as the opposing faction. So the Faith Keeper versus the Evolvers, it's kind of related to religion versus Darwinism, and it's very interesting when you see the theme there. And the Steward versus the Pilgrim is essentially the big bad government versus the hippies that you see in the 1970s culture. So yeah, this game is very well made, and it has a lot of in-depth themes when you look at it very closely. And when you don't please everybody in this game, the factions they start to go crazy and they start to be bitter, which you can see some pictures that keep rotating here. But yeah, this video game gave me a severe black pill about democracy because in this game you do have like a council, a city council, which every factions are being representative, every community is being a representative, and that council they get on a vote of who, what kind of law should be passed. Similar here in America, like the lawmakers they make a law, and basically the representatives they vote on those laws to see if it gets passed. But what this game gave me a severe black pill is that you cannot, I repeat, you cannot please everybody. And because you cannot please everybody, there will be a certain group, a certain faction, or should I say a certain political party that will try their best to get power and stay in power. So, just like in America, just like in Mexico, just like in Europe, they love the position that they're in, they love their political power that they're in, and they do not want to give it up, even though it was quote unquote a democracy voted system. So, yeah, guys, the reason why I want to make this video is because, once again, art is a reflection of reality, and this video is basically me pointing that out that there's a harsh truth in some of our video games and media that are trying to tell us, and this is one of them. This is why in one of my previous video I was discussing why I personally believe in monarchy is the best form of government, but that's just me, that's just my opinion. Well, guys, please leave a comment down in the comment section below. I'd like to hear your thoughts, your ideas, and I'll see what I could do to update my Discord. But yeah, thank you for listening, thank you for watching, and I hope you enjoyed the video. And please have a good week and take care of yourself out there. Message in the bottle, over and out.